Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for episode 5 with someone who I consider the hardest working man in the biz, and for many reasons. One, he is ex Beartooth, ex Good Enough, ex Holy Kiss, F if it moves you. He is a marketing genius with the Hyperculture Group, Columbus Crew, alum, husband, father of 2 rambunctious boys, and also a silly little guy.
I'm
Nick
big
Reed,
now.
everybody.
I'm big now. I'm not just little. Thank you. Thank you for the intro.
So, Nick, I gave you a little preface before we dived into this whole shebang. I met Nick while he was also of that giant list of the things that you've done. I didn't mention all the fucking tour managing and how you had to wrangle around so many rambunctious adult boys.
I mean, some of them literal children, depending on what tour we're talking about.
Yeah, what year? With Attack and the Crimson Armada, which is how we met, because we got to have a nice little run. I think it was 2009.
I think it was the
laminate?
think I have the laminate in this room. It was like the Riffs and Beards and Bellies tour or something like that.
Oh my god. Okay, all right.
I think it was Crimson
Beards, Bellies. Beards, Beer Bellies Breakdowns tour, I think.
Something like that. And it was like Crimson, Sell the Sky, and I Am Abomination.
Yes.
Yeah.
1000%. And it was one of those really awkward memories for me, because we were in such a weird transition on that tour, where just before that tour, I think it was our drummer and vocalist our vocalist at the time had quit, and we had tried out a dude, and that was practically his first show.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, and we'll get into that.
Okay,
but
jump the shark.
Hey, we're just giving a little tease.
A little teaser. It's called a teaser.
It's a teaser. Come on. But that's how I was introduced to you. But through that connection, and just seeing how you grinded, and all the just kind of just in Ohio, let's just say, it's a little incestuous in that we're always playing together, because
sorry, I thought you just mentioned
I mean, hey, but yes, with music, and even we're like a Toledo, Fremont area band, and you get her down in Columbus, it's 2 hours.
Nothing.
Dayton's the same thing, and we're all playing all around Cleveland, and so you get familiar with a guy.
Yeah.
And before we dive into all those stories, because I feel like we are just bridled with just so much ADHD right now.
Yeah.
Like I one of the benefits I have of starting a little podcast stream like this is I get to catch up with people I haven't seen in so long, so I get like the sleepover energy. Like, oh my god, we're gonna stay up all night. It's on a school night too on a Thursday. That's crazy. But before we get in all that unbridled craziness, can you give just a little history on how you even started getting into playing, not only in local bands, but just I want to know the history, because I only know like what I knew from a distant third party.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
So kind of give me a little rundown of how you got into the bands, and then how you even got into tour managing, all that.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think my journey, the kind of path I took, is a little random, a little kind of like not as traditional, especially when it comes to like playing in bands and stuff. But like, kind of, if I go back to the source, like I, made friends with this guy when I was 10 years old. And I mean, to this day, this dude is my best friend. He lives actually like a few blocks that way for me now. We both
Is it Mark?
Yeah, it's Mark. You remember? Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. My best friend, Mark Humphrey, who was in local bands, Empathy for a Cause, the Grace Accord. He was in Promise Estate, all local Columbus bands. But great little emo kid, Mark. But yeah, we became friends when we were 10. He was you know, skateboarder and stuff, and so I was like, oh, cool. Like I'll get into skateboarding. I'll get into this stuff. And then he's the one that introduced me to like Blink 182 and stuff. And like I don't know if you know this, but like I didn't grow up in a religious household. So like
no, I didn't. This is all new to me, so
yeah,
I want to know this.
It wasn't like a a lawless household or anything like that, but there wasn't any like I didn't grow up in like church or youth group or anything like that.
Right.
So like I could really, my parents kind of didn't have too many guardrails on like content and stuff. So I got I was able to get like Blink 182 CDs. Like my mom would just buy them for me and stuff. And I know a lot of like my friends was like that was not a thing you could get. I remember like Anima of the State, just like parental advisory, full tilt, like full octane and Anima of the State. My mom just bought from like Meyer or something like that. So that was kind of like the catalyst of stuff. And then when we moved into middle school, Mark again, he starts learning getting better at guitar, learning guitar, and he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna start a band stuff. And so he picks up guitar, and then one of our other best friends at the time, who was the original, or actually not the original, the second bassist of Crimson Armada, Chris Yates.
Oh damn.
Yeah, he picks up the bass and he starts learning that. So Mark and Chris, they took guitar, they took bass. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll play drums. So I start learning drums, and I did not get good at drums pretty much ever. Like I could, play some stuff, pretty simple stuff, but like it was, definitely not progressing at a quick enough speed to start bands. So like, they ended up kind of going off doing their starting bands and stuff. But I was still very involved. And so it kind of just parlayed into me just being a part of the music scene rather than playing in the bands themselves. So I'm like helping, promote shows, put on shows, like at the mall, selling tickets with my friends' bands and everything like that, being, helping them load in, load out, like doing merch for them, doing all this stuff. And like back in, this is at this point, it's like 04. I was 14, maybe 03 is when we really first started doing shows and stuff. Like, that's when this genre of like, post-hardcore, third wave emo, like just started really, mall emo, metalcore, all that stuff really started just taking off, but especially in Columbus. And like the Columbus local scene was fucking, it was insane. I mean, like I tell stories like, there's, the venue in Columbus called the Newport, which I don't remember the full. I should know the capacity of that. Let's say it's like 700 cap or something like that.
That was in my mind's eye. I see the sign in the venue. It's like 700,
750, something like that. And like we were selling out that show or that venue with just local bands. Oh, most of them in high school. Or what like time, early dude. Adulthood. And that was like, I'm like running these shows and stuff. And like, that's why like, so many of those Columbus bands just blew up out of, kind of like just one after another, because it was like, once that dam broke, it just was, people were just going to the well to get some more water. So yeah, I just kept like, hanging around doing shows and stuff. I remember there was basically the biggest, whatever you want to call a metalcore, band in Columbus at the time was a band called Capital Tragedy. Which
wow, that's a name.
Remember the band? Remember the band? So they basically sounded like, well, when I loved them, they basically sounded like Hot Damn era ETID, which is like
so sick.
And they had 3 guitarists and a bassist and a vocalist and a drummer. I'm like, didn't need all that, but it was totally great. And they all like it was just a party. It was fun, and they were basically like the biggest metalcore, hardcore, band in our scene. And I remember, you know, early days, I was just very into that, like, you know, Taking Back Sunday, Circus Survive, Starting Line, Fall Out Boy, like more on the pop punk emo side, like mall emo side of things, rather than anything super heavy. But I remember like going to shows and there would be like heavier bands playing, and I was like, I didn't even understand like pit culture etiquette or anything like that. And there was the quote unquote crew in Columbus, Capital City Hardcore, CCHC, like they would just see me standing up front in my girl jeans. And I'm like, I'm telling you, so for people that might be watching this, like my nickname growing up was Little Nick. People still refer to me as Little Nick because that era.
And you're like 6 foot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, now. But that era, I entered high school at 4'10", 95 pounds. Like I was very small. And these like hardcore dudes, I remember one of them specifically. I'm just had a show at this random cafe thing bar on OSU's campus, and just during the show, and he just deliberately drop kicks me in the back, and I'm like, again, a little child, and I'm like, this is crazy.
It's a canon event, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it just like it really kind of set me on my way. Like, I don't know why it made me like. I think it's because of like how people kind of rallied around me and not him on that kind of
interesting
stuff.
Okay,
yeah. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then like I got, one of my good friends at the time was close with Capital Tragedy, and they like, I got to know them, and they kind of vouched for me, and people stopped fucking with me for a while, which was pretty great. It was very helpful when I started getting into heavier music. I kind of started with like Hot Damn, Etid, The Bled, Pass a Flask album. Like those are like some of the earliest of real heavy, like heavier style bands that kind of got me into a little bit more riffage, a little bit more grit and stuff. But yeah, so like out of that, I met the dudes that ended up starting Crimson Armada when I was like 15 or 16. And kind of just became like really, really, really close friends with these guys. And they ended up getting signed like basically when we were still seniors in high school in 2008.
It was so quick, dude.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they had been a band for maybe 2 years at the most at that point, and they got signed by Metal Blade. And they were like, "You wanna you gotta." I was helping them at all these shows and stuff, and they're like, "You got to come on tour with us, like come out with us." And I was like, "I'm gonna go to college, man." Because
I'm going to be smart with my life.
That's what you do. You go to college. And yeah, I'd like kind of skipping over like the I'm just doing straight music side of things here. I can get kind of more into the faith side of things, but I'll give you a quick well, I guess I could kind of grab it to the faith side of things as well. It's like
full spectrum, baby.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like my whole childhood I was like trying to figure out like what I was like a really existential kid, very happy, very ADHD, hyperactive dude, but like still, I was lying awake at night, getting panic attacks and stuff like that because I'm like, oh fuck,
well, I'm gonna die someday.
yeah, right. Yeah. So I was always just trying to figure out like what God was, and like I grew up. So like I said, not a religious household, but both my parents, grew up in Lancaster, Ohio, not a huge town, especially when they were growing up. And so I always thought it was funny. I think it's funny now, especially because like I would always ask mom like, what religion are we? Like it was like a thing that you did or you just were. That's why I always say like I grew up culturally Christian, kind of like how some people are like culturally Jewish and not necessarily like going to temple often.
Yeah.
So yeah, my mom's like, yeah, we're Lutheran, just because like, well, I felt like there was this rule of thumb that you were your mom's religion, which is insane. It's like how like it was like a recessive gene. Like if your dad's bald, you won't be bald, which is also a lie because I'm bald as hell. My dad's bald as hell. And it's just life kicking in the nuts. But so I was like, oh, I guess we're Lutheran. We're going to church, whatever. So I would like my whole childhood, I would like pop around to my friends' churches or youth groups or different things like that, just to like see what's going on, but never really like stuck around, kept doing it.
Yeah.
Until my freshman year of high school, and then started going to this church and like became a Christian in that year because I was like very primed before that. Like I was very,
Right.
I just didn't really understand it or what it meant and have a good grasp on like that decision and like kind of what that meant to my life and stuff. So yeah, like 14 is when I like really actually became a Christian. And I was never an overly spiritual dude, like charismatic Christianity or anything like that.
Right.
Because I'm just like I'm a crass guy. Like I'm very vulgar and I'm very just like shock. Like that's just where especially in the house I grew up in. It's just like
some shit's funny sometimes.
Exactly.
And saying the word shit is funny.
Very funny. But yeah, so like kind of fast forward a little bit through high school and stuff, and I'm like, I'm not in a band. My friends are like touring, very good friends with like the Attack guys, and they got signed when we were like 17. And Caleb was 14 when they got signed, which is just an insane thing to think.
He was a child,
a literal child. And all these other bands in Columbus getting varying degrees of good or bad record deals. But I'm not in a band. I wasn't playing. This entire time I had never played in a band. This entire time. And so I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go to college while these guys go tour. Never even thinking about like I could go out with them. Because what does that mean for me in a couple years?
Right, exactly.
So yeah, so I I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go. I can't go out with you guys. And they didn't have something like lined up right there. So I like started my year of college. And like halfway through it, probably one of the more spiritual moments that I feel like I had. I was like in a Bible study one time, and I felt like I kind of like went out of the moment. And we can kind of get into my spirituality now, but like back then, what I said is I was face to face with God, and He said like, you don't need to be here. You can go like out. And it was like I'm not the scripture, scholar to memorize verses, but it was like the go forth, make, disciples, different things like that. And that was kind of like what He was telling me to do. And I was like, oh, cool. Like I have this thing right here. I can just immediately start touring. This is like what I should be doing. It's sitting because the whole time, like I changed my major in the first like month or two of being in college. It was a joke. I had no interest in what I was doing. I was wasting time, energy, and money. My school was 45 minutes away, and I still lived in Columbus because I didn't want to I was never fully committed to school. I was like still doing music here in town and stuff. And then, yeah, my mom's like, just finish the year and then you can do whatever you want. So, even in that year, I remember it was Crimson's like first tour was, what was it? No, maybe it wasn't the first. They did the first run with My Children, My Bride, which I didn't do. And that was like a week-long thing, nothing crazy. And then I think their first run was with The Chariot.
Which,
great, amazing. Which I'm still friends with Stevis, the guitar. Well, that was Stevis, the guitarist's first tour at the time. Who went on to shit. Yeah, he went on to do Fever 333, and now is in House of Protection and stuff. Amazing dude. And that was my first tour. His first tour being in the band. I think he did a tour being their merch guy like right before it. But it was us, them, band called the Handshake Murders, which were
classic.
Do you remember that band? So
dude,
sick.
Yes.
Band was so sick. And their vocalist was the hardest, largest man of it. I remember we played a Texas venue where you could smoke inside, and he just had an upright stand, his mic here, and a cigarette in his hand, and he would do his vocals. and then go back to doing like the most.
Just an absolute fucking unit.
It was so sick. But yeah, no. So did Crimson for a while, and living in a van, doing. I was in an Astro van.
Classic.
Me and Yates worked at CarMax in Columbus, and we bought it off the back lot. And I slept in the space between the fold down bed in the back and the back doors, like on the floor.
Brutal.
And the guitarist Josh, he had dreads, slept on the bed above me. So some mornings, nights, I would wake up with his dreads in my mouth.
Just straight patchouli, right?
I mean, literally, like you talk about war stories, like that's just my hell. Yeah, yeah. Cthulhu's like trying to never mind. It was rough. I mean, but like some of the best days. I mean, sometimes our AC wasn't working, or like you don't know what you're gonna eat, or different things like that. So, yeah, I mean, grounded out with the Crimson dudes for like, I don't know, like 2 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was kind of like that industry stuff started to kind of grind us up a little bit and turn some of the guys. And it just became this kind of pretty depressing thing for me. I think specifically, I mean, definitely for some of the guys, I just don't want to speak for them directly, but like,
right.
There was a somber tone of things. And I was just like, we kind of realized that Metal Blade signed them for like a tax write-off and not for like actually trying to make them a thing.
Fuck. I didn't know that. Damn.
Whether that's necessarily 100% true or not, we're pretty sure. You
can kind of get the subtle hint.
Yeah. So yeah, then we went, after a while, it's just kind of like, I can't be in this camp anymore. Like, just a bunch of different variables. I'm just like,
protect your peace, dude.
Yeah. And like one of the Columbus bands that was kind of, I don't want to say like a generation behind us, but like in local sense, it's like just the grade below. So kind of like a generation behind us, but it was My Ticket Home was coming out. They had just got signed to Rise. They're kind of following the Attack coattails, and they needed, a tour manager, merch guy, which is what I was doing for Crimson. So especially one with some experience, which they, just out of high school as well, had nothing. So I started doing that with them for, a few runs, hanging out there. And then I did get the opportunity to kind of just like hop on to like start going with Attack with that camp. There's like some time in between, like I'm not doing the greatest like chronological like pipeline of
no,
everything.
you're actually kind of opening up my own memories of seeing you. Mm-hmm. And I'm remembering like specific, like I remember the Crimson stuff. Like, okay, he was with My Ticket Home for a minute.
Yeah.
And I remember you when you were then it was Attack, because then that's when I hung out with you and Doug at the apartment.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think we were dropping off our van because Attack was doing Bamboozle or something.
That makes sense. Yeah, that feels right. Yeah. So
you're pretty on, man.
Yeah, I know there was a stint that I don't remember if I toured with Attack before, because there was a stint I lived in LA for a few months working at a music studio and hated it. Never wanted.
Oh, I have never heard this story.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is another one of my spiritual moments where one of my best friends and roommates, his name's Jesse. He moved out to LA to work at a YouTube production company as like a music producer out there, and he was brought out by one of our friends who was like running the studio there, and they both were like, "You need to come out. Like, we can make room for you. Like, we make it happen." I'm like, and then it was like that same like God spoke to me, "Go do it, whatever." And it was like the most depressed I've ever been. When I was looking out there, it was rough. I'm just like far too Midwestern to be out in that place. But it was actually, I was very depressed, struggled heavily with depression while I was there for like the first time in my life. But it was really good for me because I got very good at dealing with my emotions and, processing stuff and,
hell yeah,
all that different things. So yeah, when I remember I was like, I'm going to move back. I can't do this anymore. And one of my best friends, I'll keep saying best friend. million apparently.
You have so many best friends.
He was a tour manager of Attack at the time, and he was like, "Yo, do you want to?" I had done a Warped Tour, yeah, a half of a Warped Tour right before I moved to LA with them. And he's like, "If you come back, like we're doing a co-headliner with Escape the Fate." And
yo,
and we need somebody to drive the production truck. And I'm like, oh, I've never been strictly a driver on a tour, but sure, I have nothing lined up for me when I get back from Columbus, so I'll take a tour job, whatever. And yeah, did that. Almost died like a million times because, again, not a driver. Almost just crashed myself from like baby neck, falling asleep in the middle of the
oh, no.
crazy, flipping a 35-foot box truck full of all the stage production.
It's fine.
It'd be whatever. No, that was like, I mean, I went in and out of Canada like 4 times, fully illegally, did not have the right licenses to drive that truck, how heavy it was, and in and out of country multiple times.
What an era.
Yeah, I remember the tour was pretty shot. It was pretty rough, which at that point I'm sure you can kind of imagine. And I remember we like canceled the tour in Calgary, and so I'm just in Calgary.
Ooh, the mid-tour cancel. Ooh.
Yeah, it was like we had one more date and it was in Vancouver, and we're like, we don't want to drive back from Vancouver, so let's just end it here. Which sucks because I've still never been to Vancouver. It's like one of the tourist cities I've never been to, which is annoying.
Oh, damn.
But Calgary's right above Montana, so I just had to like go straight down. I crossed the border again, and then pull into a truck station because my buddy Taylor, who will come up in the story a little bit, he was a guitar tech of Attack. He hopped on to drive home with me. And as we're getting out, I get pulled over by a Department of Travel cop. And he's like, "Where's your logbook? I'm going to weigh." Like, they had scales that they could weigh your truck out on the thing. And I was so pissed because I had already been driving all night. And I'm like, I don't want a ticket. I'm not going to come back to Montana for this. So I was just like, how much is this going to be?
Isn't
like,
Montana lawless anyway? What are we doing?
And I was like, how much is this going to be? Like, I literally was like, can I just pay you now and get over with it? And I had on tour, they hand drivers floats of cash, especially back then, cash. Yeah. So I just had a bunch of cash on hand. And I'm pretty sure I just bribed this cop to leave me be because I just handed it to him. He's like, "You're free to go.
Here's a wad."
Yeah,
thank you.
Definitely just put it directly into his pocket and tore up the ticket he just wrote me.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So yeah, then that was 2012 because we did one more tour with Attack, Screaming Like You Mean It, and that's the tour. That was the last tour that Attack, like real Attack did. And I remember I was down in Nashville seeing a girl that I was seeing at the time, and after tour, and Caleb calls me. Caleb from Attack. He's like, "Hey, do you know how to play bass?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Do you think you could learn and like just go ape shit on stage?" And I'm like, "I can definitely do the second part pretty good." He's like, "Cool, awesome. Me and Brandon, who was the drum tech at the time, we're starting a band and you're going to play bass." And I'm like, "Sounds good. When I get home, we can start the lessons, you know." And that was the birth of Beartooth, and how that kind of all started. Then we got
a phone call, by the way.
Yeah, he was just
"Hey man, do you play this instrument?" No.
He literally was like, "Hey man, you're a good hang. Do you want to be in the band?" I'm like, "Sure, sounds great."
Dude, side note, sorry. This has been a theme that I've noticed. There's a couple times in just dialogues I've had with people, where sometimes all you need is just be just the dude. Like, oh, you're just like a good guy and a fucking good hang. You know, like I always like, "Hey, you got to play an instrument." I always think about the guy from like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, who his job was skank. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, because he was a cool guy, and I mean, sometimes, yeah, that's how it works.
I've done enough tours and been around enough touring people and stuff like that to know that almost any camp would rather a guy that's a little bit worse at his job but is a better hang. I mean, you're stuck in a metal tube driving around the country with these people. Like, you have to somewhat like them. And if maybe they're not as good as their job as someone else, you can kind of let that slide. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a lot. Like, if you're just a good dude, like, I mean, I think that's with a lot of things in life in general, but like, if you just be a good hang, then you're kind of, you have a little bit of a advantage, I guess. Yeah, so I mean, we had like so like the original name of the band was Noise, which is, this is some Beartooth lore, and I didn't name it. It was Brandon and Caleb's original name, and then we found out there was like this Blood on the Dance Floor style band called Noise already. Like,
was it spelled crazy?
No, just spelled Noise, like the
just Noise. All right, I didn't know if it was like Noise with a Z because we have edge.
Because we're crazy. No, it was just Noise. And so we were like, they're already established. Let's just do something else. And we had like, when Caleb, like, he was one of our friends to get an actual house. And he put a studio down there. And like, we, even in high school and stuff like that, like his studio in his parents' basement, we would just record dumb shit all the time. So
I remember.
Yeah. We had this fake hardcore band called Beartooth that was like me, Caleb, and the drummer of My Ticket Home did vocals on it. And it was a 3-person hardcore band. And so when we didn't have Noise anymore, we're like, oh, let's just use Beartooth, which Beartooth is, to give more lore, is the street I grew up on. My parents still live there, actually, to this day.
That's a fucking sick street name.
Yeah, well, the whole neighborhood is like Native American names. Like, it's off of Wolf Run and like Boulder Creek and like Native American and like nature things. But yeah, Beartooth. So that's where that name came from. And then I was in that for a while, the first like 2 years of the band, and then got excommunicated from the band like 2 years in, because lo and behold, I was not good at bass. Weird plot twist. Really good at going ape shit. I learned how to solder because I broke pots in my bass like every single night. But the whole like playing it well, that was rough. But like, it was, Caleb was more broken up about it than I was. Like, I had to console him. I'm like, buddy, it's the right call.
Listen, I was in the bonus round the entire time.
Yeah, this is great. Well, I mean, it didn't like, it wasn't lost on me that was my first band. If you really think, besides like the joke shit that I would do and stuff, like, that was the first band that I played in. And pretty lucky. That's fine. I'll take that. Yeah. So like, I mean, I will say, I mean, I wasn't like stoked to get kicked out. I definitely like went into a little dark space for a while after that. And, you know, found my way out of that. And then I started touring with the Color Morale, who were just buddies who I had known since like their first tour, because their first tour was with Attack actually.
Random. Okay. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So still good friends with, you know, those guys.
Shout out Garrett.
Yeah, Garrett's great. Mike, who ended up playing bass when I was touring with them, he's one of my best tour friends that I've ever made. Love that dude to death. Yeah, I did a Warped Tour with them, which was funny because like Warped Tour drivers, like the bus drivers or bandwagon drivers, they always like caravan together. And our camp was us, Vanna, and Beartooth, which was really funny. So I'm just touring with the band I was in earlier that year, around the country. But it was like they're all still like some of my closest friends. So it was just like, it was great. It was like kind of except I had to do merch on Warped Tour, which is not necessarily great.
That in itself is its own version of the trenches.
Yeah, I will say I'm one of the weird people that love Warped Tour. I just didn't love doing merch the entire time. But when I did Warped Tour,
that makes sense.
I was assistant GM or TM for Attack on like half of the tour. Which we didn't call it assistant TM, we called it general bitch. But I was an assistant TM on that tour. That was great. That was a ton of fun. Love that one. The merch side of it was less fun, but still a lot of fun. But no, that's when I did a club tour with them in 2014, and that was actually when I stopped touring. Just fully got out. And then I get like basically got out of like real music industry for like 6 years after that. And I was just
you were out for a minute.
For a minute, yeah, all through. So that was like 2015 to 2021. I was working,
Damn.
Yeah, the one of the original guitarists of My Ticket Home, who ended up becoming the touring guitarist of Tag Attack, and then he started a company and asked me to like work with him on it, which was great because I didn't want to keep touring in a van, to be honest, and I didn't want to I was always like really reluctant to tour with camps I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I had oh yeah, I forgot. Like I also like did stuff with like early stages, like 21 Pilots, and like I did their
shit. Yeah, I vaguely remember like seeing you do shit like that.
Yeah, just like I did like one of their first out of town shows, and like one of there's a venue in Columbus that's like the big indoor venue that's like 2,000 cap or 2,500 cap or something like that. I did their first show there. It was really funny because they asked me twice to be their touring merch guy, and it was when I started Beartooth, and I was like, no, I want to see this out. Like I haven't seen this storyline yet. I want to do this. And the other one was when we were starting this other company, and I'm like, oh, I could have like ownership over this thing, really cool, like make some actual money, and not scrounge by working at Starbucks or whatever the hell I was doing. So I was like, no, whatever. And so we started this company, worked with a bunch of different friends, worked with still a lot of musicians and stuff, because like that was our friend group, and we let people tour. So they would, just a lot of musicians working with us and stuff like that. Like guys from like band Church Tongue, Ghost Key, like bunch of other different people worked for us. And then COVID happened, and then
fuck.
Yeah, our company died, and I had to get a corporate ass job doing mortgage refinances for a startup company here in Columbus. I was like, I had like just bought a house, which is cool. I did buy a house from that other company, beat the millennial like scourge, but I had a house to pay for, and I had my kid, so I was like, fucking got to do this corporate job, so whatever. And then a couple years later, still like through this entire time, me and the drummer of Crimson Armada, David Puckett, kept very, very close. Actually started 2 different other businesses that never really got off the ground in this timeline in between things, while David was, in For Today, and then eventually in We Came as Romans, where he still is. And he had moved back to Columbus, and his marketing agency was looking for a project manager. And I'm like, oh, I do that. I can do that. And he was like, cool, you're hired. And so the last 3 years, so it's a marketing agency primarily in the music industry. So I'm back in there doing like,
dude, I love that.
Yeah, doing stuff for bands, labels, merch companies, touring like promotion companies, stuff like that. So back in it and loving it.
So sick. So that damn
half-hour long. I told you, it's a weird saga. It's not like traditional, I don't think.
No, but you say now. Here's what's funny is you say that, and as you were telling us your lore, there's a couple pieces there that's like, man, I'm noticing that no matter what city, yes, we are Ohio boys through and through. We got to represent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But even like non-Ohio people I've talked to, or like even talked to about trying to get on the pod, it's like their own personal scenes that they experience. It feels like a complete, like you're on a whole isolated, crazy planet. But what I'm learning is like these sort of trajectories are also kind of happening simultaneously at this time.
Oh yeah.
We like, I think just our age group and our just sort of like our fiber, just who makes us, whatever makes us us, like just those early and mid 2000s, like really had this like record label boom, and all these local bands are finally breaking, and it kind of felt like a new cycle of how the shit was popping off in the 90s, where like when the grunge explosion happened, all the record labels were like, anything that sounds remotely in the ballpark of Nirvana, fucking sign them. And that's what it kind of felt like, in our local hubs. It didn't matter if like you were just like, someone who would start a band, or like was just a homie of the band that eventually was just like got into those fucking circles. Like we all were like kind of just sucked into this scene. And then these trajectories started happening, and a couple,
like you said too earlier, it's like it's very incestuous. Like everybody's just kind of like trading players back and forth too.
Yeah, and even in your own story, you're kind of like, oh yeah, and then the guy from My Ticket Home, he was in this, and we did this, and this.
Yeah,
and it really kind of shows that like how you have to. Bottom line, you have to be insane to do anything related to music, especially nowadays.
Oh yeah.
But even then, it really, the prime of it came with the trust that you just would cultivate with these like-minded people you essentially grew up with. And when things would break apart inevitably, because here's the thing, we were all fucking 17 to 21 year olds.
Yeah, our brains weren't fully developed yet.
No. And so there were some bad decisions.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
and like really weird egos, and like still figuring out how to be a person, and so things inevitably would fall apart. But even when those things would fall apart, you had that trust. You're like, I know this guy. And you always just kind of find your way back to these people, even just as friends or as just human beings. And then it just creates these new opportunities. So like, dude, that I loved hearing that, because you definitely filled in a lot of gaps. Pause, but
Ayo.
but you filled in a lot of gaps of my own memory, because like something that I admittedly, and I'll even apologize to you, to your digital face right now.
Yeah.
I by nature am a recluse. That is just like the natural thing I go into. And what happens is I fall, especially not seeing people for so many years, and I tend to fall into a comfort zone of like, I don't want to bother them, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's this beautiful thing, man, of like these people that you even spent a single tour with, or like a couple shows, or whether it was a couple years. Like something about this time and those experiences really just kind of like it's a bond.
Yeah, it's just the combination of like a trauma bond, but also like you did summer camp with the guy too at the same time. Like I think it's true. I mean, it's like how I always felt after, like, that's why I always talk about like Warped Tour. Like I'm like a weird guy that liked it, because I'm such a relationships person, like I just
that makes sense.
I'm an extrovert, and like I want to hang out with people. That's where I get like that's where my energy really gets like to the peak, is when I'm just like hanging, with people. So like at the end of those summers, I'm like, oh, I might not see you like ever again. And I just spent I just spent like some of you 24 hours a day with, some of you like 12 hours a day for the last.
I've literally seen your wiener.
Yeah, like easy. I guess locked in a porta potty with you or something. Like just it's those kind of things. Yeah, the summer would be over, and I'm just like, man, this is like sad, because I like care for you as a human being, and this could be the last time we like hang out, which is a bummer.
Well, fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, you were, like you said, you're like, even when you were a little kid, like you were super existential, and
yeah,
like it's so crazy that even back then your thoughts are just like, oh damn, I might never see this person again.
Yeah, I was like, I always heard you always hear the quote of like, I wish you knew you were in the good times before they were. It's that the Office quote. I knew. I literally did.
You had the vision.
Dude, I remember like height of my touring days. I wasn't on tour, but I was at like a party at my friend's house, and we're just hanging out, just like all of my closest like big group of friends that I had. We're just hanging out and we're vibing, and just like I like went to the bathroom. There was like an upstairs bathroom. I was looking over the balcony, just seeing everybody hang out. I'm like, oh, this is like what it is. This is amazing. I need to like live here right now. And yeah, so I was never like
teach me your ways, dude.
Yeah, I mean, now is a little bit different.
It's hard now we live in hell. So.
Yeah, God. So yeah, it's a little bit harder to be in the present currently, but yeah, back then I knew. I felt like I was just really cognizant of like what was going on.
And that's like, fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, and if I'm being, if I will, sort of, admit there something that is peculiar with your story is that.
Yeah.
Because there's, and I'm speaking out of my own experience.
Sure. Of
just, I regret that. Yeah, because you get so caught up in this whirlwind, of all this insanity, and I obviously hindsight being 2020.
Sure.
You kind of go, oh, fuck! I wish I would have just. And I remember there were so many tours, right? You would just go, oh, honestly, if I would have not been such fucking in my head dork about it, that would have been the most sick thing.
Yeah.
And so hearing that you had just like, even as you said, as a wee lad, just that kind of intuition of like being able to pull the lens out, like dude, I love that. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty, like, I feel very lucky I was able to do that, looking back, especially.
You got a superpower, brother.
Yeah.
It's called enjoying yourself.
My superpower is not being a bummer. No,
yeah, like good vibes.
Yeah, weird.
He's the always passes the vibe check man. So for those who either the couple people watching right now or people who will listen to this later, we have a format that we do. Obviously there we could sit here all night and wax poetic because there are so many tour stories and so many experiences, but I feel like those will just kind of naturally come with these questions. So I always start off, we have 3 questions. Start off with a negative, give me a little positive, and then give me a little bit of reflection, because for those who are new to this podcast, this is sort of a historical retrospective of just this particular time in history of these like post-hardcore, metalcore, screamo, Christian, for some reason, Christian, yeah, bands, and this whirlwind, and everybody being, so young, getting signed to these record labels, having religious trauma, but then also seeing the brutal side of capitalism and the industry and all these insane severities of this experience. Like, obviously you're going to have terrible times, great times, and we'll kind of get to the therapeutic part at the end, which is the part 2 of this podcast.
Yep.
Which is, I'm being a little selfish bitch. I'm doing this as sort of like a mental health journey of kind of rectifying with a lot of these memories, and sort of like, done a little too much of this, a little bit too much of a little bit of that. Kind of there you go. Kind of memory's not the greatest, so I'm kind of trying to kind of remember things, and then as I'm now remembering them, I'm feeling a lot different because distance gives you that clarity, right?
Mhm.
So before we get to that part, we'll start with question number one that you're willing to share.
Sure.
I always give that preface. What was the worst experience that you had? Well, with your instance, particularly, like you said, you didn't start out as a Christian.
Mhm.
And it just so happened that you became a Christian in high school. And then it just so happened these bands that you were doing work with also happened to be Christian or Christian adjacent.
Yeah.
And so you can have as far as like a terrible experience as far as like maybe the religious side of it, or maybe your worst experience was not associated with that.
Yeah.
But regardless of this time in history, what would you account as the worst experience you had in this industry?
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, like, I feel like I do look back on my touring days with rose-colored glasses a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like hard for me to like I feel like I've talked about it, like a lot of it was like chill and super fun and awesome. Like the whole
It was actually sick.
it was there was no issues. No, but like I think like I can have hindsight and realize like, you know, not a lot of people can travel like I did and just do music like I did for any period of their life, let alone years of their life. And still to a degree be in it. But like that doesn't mean, you know, barely being able to eat or like not getting paid or getting in, you know, fights with a promoter because you're not getting paid or getting gear stolen, I mean, literal fights, different things. Like there a lot of that shit happens when you're on tour, Christian or not.
Yeah.
Like, that's just being out on the road because what you're dealing with are human beings. And plot twist and weird kind of spoiler, they're not all good. But Christian or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so it's not necessarily that. I think when I think about like my worst experience, it's not like a story that I have or like a instance. Right. I think it was just like watching what touring in the music industry did to some of my very close friends.
Oh yeah.
In the way of like I saw people, you know, that were just like the kind of chillest dudes in the world and then like became, you know, drug addicts, alcoholics, depressives, you know, just kind of become shells of the people that, you know, they were when I first met them. And like just a lot of mental health stuff that a lot of these people were going through, or like abuse issues that a lot of these people, like substance abuse issues that a lot of these people were going through. Yeah, and it's just like, you know, I mean, it's like I said earlier, like being such a relational, you know, person. It's hard being around, like watching your good friends kind of like devolve in front of you, especially when you're literally on tour with them while it's happening. So that was like really tough to like, oh, I can't talk to you anymore. Like, because it's just like, it's not either brutal. It's either like you're catatonic or it's not worth my time, or there's no, like, you're not hearing me anymore. So like, I'm over it.
So you're in real time mourning that relationship.
Yes. Yeah. No, I know if, like, I'm not going to like call them out or anything, but like I know 2 or 3 specific people right now that I'm like, you know, fuck, dude.
Like, I wish.
Yeah, it didn't have to go like that, you know. I feel so sorry. Like, but you do what you can, and then when you can't do anything more, you kind of just have to let go, you know. And that's probably like the hardest shit about all of that, was kind of like watching that happen and then dealing with that.
No, and that's a harsh but real thing, and it's a truth, because one of the things that I've kind of uncovered when sort of marinating on this question, because it's hard, you know, like you said, like there's so many ebbs and flows, man. Like you're going to have your lows for sure.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
But sometimes the most devastating things that we experienced at that time are the most subtle. And I think in this whirlwind of touring and like, and I think you even alluded to this earlier, like Crimson as an example.
Mm-hmm.
They started in high school and they were a band for 2 years and they got on fucking Metal Blade Records.
Yeah.
That's 0 to fucking 2,000 miles per hour,
especially for the metal world.
Especially for the metal world. Yeah. And then also having to navigate. So you're these late teen to maybe early 20, still kids in hindsight.
Yeah.
You know, haven't really fully experienced the world in the ways that you just eventually do. And then having to also create art on top of that.
Yeah.
And then also be thrown into the business side of it. And then another thing that, you know, your experience alludes to is it's the first time people run into substances. It's the first time people are kind of like, it really transformed a person. And what I mean by that is touring will do that. You know, we always make the joke, every touring musician or crew person, anybody who has lived on the road, we always make jokes about like, it's like, you know, we're in the trenches, brother, you know, like but kind of.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're in a very close quarters with a bunch of people going through trauma.
Yeah, perpetually. Yeah. And sometimes even just whether it's macro or micro. But through these things is like, it really sort of like tests your character.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you may have heard this by older road dogs that you would be on tour with. But there was quite a few times where I had people tell me like things like, some people can do it, some people can't. Yeah. You know, you either got it or you don't. Like you can either tour or you can't. And I think there was a lot of us high school kids who were like, I want to get out there and do it. You know, and then you're actually doing it and you're like, what the fuck? what is oh no.
I'm eating,
things are real.
I'm eating one piece of bread, peanut butter jelly every day. This is cool.
Yeah, I'm eating orange peels.
Yes.
And then at the venue, I'm watching a guy do coke.
Yeah.
Off of a bass cab.
So sick.
This is not anything that was my middle like middle school, high school experience in the Midwest.
Yeah, no.
And so I think it really unfortunately claims some good, I would say some good people where they just fell into the wrong groups, because it sort of like creates this desperation or like having to cope with the loneliness of the road or like the being hungry. You're like, oh, maybe I'm just going to drink it away. Or like some sketchy dude in a trench coat outside of the show is like, hey man, I got a little baggie or something.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's weird. One of the things you get for free, even when you were not getting food, was booze.
Yeah. Like that, which is insane.
Yeah. You might not get a full spread of food, but you're getting the 30 rack of Bud Light. So
for me,
God, water bread. Thank you.
Delicious. And also my pants are off.
Okay,
all right.
That's weird.
But joking aside, that really, I really appreciate that answer, because that really kind of emphasizes the point of what I want to sort of like broadcast out there, which is obviously touring is hard for sure. Wham. We get to do fun stuff, but
yeah.
That's why I always make such an emphasis on supporting art and supporting your artists, like in tangible ways. Like because in our experiences, you know, somebody giving you a couple bucks to get that extra cheeseburger on the road, like that meant the fucking world.
Insane.
Yeah. So that's what we really mean. We're like, you know, support any art and artist that you can, especially when they're traveling, because it is rough out there. And I can't even, you know, you and I we're dads. We had jobs.
Yeah.
You know, so we ain't doing the touring thing, you know, right now. So I can't even fathom what the climate's like now. How post-COVID venues, you know.
I mean, I deal with it.
Oh yeah, you're right into it. Yeah.
Depending on who you are, it can be shot as hell.
Damn. And I can't. Kudos to anybody doing it right now.
Yeah.
Kudos to the people that are working with your agency, and I'm sure you're doing the best possible job you fucking can.
Doing our best.
Yeah, I mean, but that's unfortunately that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
But that really kind of gives perspective on how specifically this time can really change people, and unfortunately that can really change the relationships you have with them.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm kind of thinking about all that you've said with that, I'm like in my own head thinking of my own relationships of like former bandmates.
Oh yeah.
You know, former people I like, or like seen people that you would just see at shows, because kind of like part of your story, which is like you were just guy at a show, and you were a good hang,
mm-hmm.
and you're a great friend, and that kind of absorbed you into this world, and you cultivate these really important relationships, and a lot of those people have fallen off, as you know, whether it was on a tour or maybe a couple years after, or even years after that. You're almost perpetually having to mourn deaths of things, not necessarily physical deaths. I mean, and even those happened.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But you're also having to mourn, this person I was in the trenches with is no longer this person that I knew. And I can't wait around for that person to be who they were again, because they might never.
Yeah.
You know, so that's brutal.
Yeah.
But on the flip, which I know you're going to give an even more grandiose answer, because you are such a positive dude, and I appreciate that. And we knew this was going to be riddled with a little bit of ADHD here.
Sure.
Before we get into question 2,
yeah,
I just want to give a prime example of Nick's positivity. And also
just funny because I feel like a pessimist, which is hilarious. But maybe I'm just like an optimistic, or I'm a happy pessimist.
well, you're able to turn shit into at least being funny, or like silly.
Humor is a coping mechanism for sure.
Yeah, and how you've always been that dude in my mind's eye.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things was we played a show. Settle the Sky played a show. This might have been 2010. I think we had
for this story.
What's that?
If this involves me, there's not a chance I remember this story. But go on.
Well, so I might fire up some memories with this. So we were in kind of the final era of Settle the Sky at this point, and we had that finalized lineup, not the vocalists that we had on the tour that we were on previously.
Yeah,
we had a solidified lineup. We were trying to write new material. We were really fucking struggling with it, but we had a one-off show in Zanesville.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
Okay, you're like, all right, okay, you're like, okay, we're cooking here.
Yeah.
We played a show in Zanesville with Crimson, and I from what I remember, it was a cool show. I mean, like kind of like your atypical local like metal show. Like, cool, this is sick. But the vibes felt kind of off with us, and we were like, what the fuck is going on with us and Crimson? Like, they're kind of being like weird. And then we start getting in our heads, and we're like,
yeah,
what the fuck? Are they like trying to Mr. Cool Guy us right now? And this man right here comes up to, I can't remember, I think it might have been me, JD, and Dan. This is after the show.
Were we at like a food place?
That part I don't remember, but we were at somewhere. I think it was still at the venue because you were like, meet us on stage when we're finally loading out. We need to squash the beef.
Oh, what? Okay, keep going.
It was you and Sode.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, we need to squash the beef. And after the show happens, we get back on stage, and it was you and Sode, and I can't remember who queued it up, but they're like, okay, let's squash the beef. And someone just started playing Kesha. And it turned into a just us. Oh, this was a bit.
Oh my God.
We had a dance, a little mini dance party on an empty stage.
That sounds like 100% something me and Sode would do easily.
Like, that I say all that to sort of emphasize, like, that was who you were then. Like, you were just like always in for the bit, always in for the laugh, but also just like, even when shit was not so great, you were just a silly guy. And so question 2, obviously, is what was your best experience? I'm genuinely excited for this because you're just that dude. You have so many cool, positive experiences.
I mean, I think, like, again, like I said, it's not, I mean, I could tell stories of different things, but it's more of just like, I think it was just, I realized a dream. You know what I mean? Like, that was what was cool about it. It was just like,
and you were cognizant for it.
Yeah, and I was there. I remember, like, growing up, going to like Warped Tour and all this different stuff, and I was just like, man, it would be really fucking cool to like play this someday and stuff. Back then it was like do the tour, because I wasn't even playing like in bands and stuff in high school. And I mean, literally the tour that I did with Attack, the Warped Tour I did with Attack, they were on main stage of Warped Tour, and every day I did vocals on one of the songs. So I've performed on main stage of Warped Tour.
What song did you do?
Brother, I have no idea.
You're like, pop quiz, on the spot.
I do not remember.
But regardless, that's insane.
Every like, I did the second half of the Warped Tour with them, and I pretty much every single day I was up there doing guest vocals on that part of the song, unless I like weirdly couldn't make it there for, you know, other work things I was doing. Yeah, it was stuff like that. It was just meeting people, making lifelong friends, you know, just being a part of like just the weirdness of life. Like, one of my favorite, this is my favorite tour story because it's just so weird, but it was
Run It.
It was, I think it was Scream the Prayer with Crimson. I could be wrong. But it was with Crimson. I remember that we were in Oklahoma City, and we had played a show earlier that day. I don't think it was Scream the Prayer. It might have been a one-off or something, because we played with like Oceano and Evergreen Terrace, which was sick, at a comic book shop.
That rules. That rules.
Yeah, it was so sick. I forget the place. The venue was dope. But we finish up and we're like, all right, let's hit the Walmart because we're going to stay here tonight. We're not driving tonight, you know. And so we're, you know, everybody's kind of taking their turns. You're not going to leave the van alone, but like, so everyone's taking their turns going into Walmart, maybe buying something if they have money, or brushing their teeth, or doing their kind of setup. And each time I like didn't want to go in or whatever, so I was just chilling out at the van. And each time someone would come back, it's like, there's a dude in there dressed as a clown. And I'm like, what? Okay. So it was like the first people came back. It was like, yeah, he like interacted with us. And he was like, wasn't talking, but it was like
I already hate it.
And I was just like,
I'm scared of clowns, by the way. I am terrified of them.
Well,
so. I'm already locked in this story now.
So then the next people go in and they come back, and then they're you kind of see them like walking up very fast, like looking around, whatever. And then I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? And then I kind of realized that there's this like SUV like fastly driving through the parking lot, kind of like around them, like coming our way. And I think it was Yates Basis. He was just like, "It's a fucking clown. There's a fucking clown in Walmart, and he's like following us in the car." And we're all like, "This sucks." And like I did know that he was like, you could tell he was a kid, like young adult, like our age, 18, whatever. So it wasn't like it was some weird dude, like some old guy, but still not a chill situation in a city we didn't know, in Walmart. And also like a insane plains of the United States storm is just like we're on the verge of it. Like the wind is, just whipping around. It's just going crazy. And so
the visuals are insane right now.
Yeah. So this kid, we're in the back of like the Walmart parking lot, and this kid like pulls up and to us, and we're all just like, so he puts his car in park, and he gets out, and we're like, what? And he's still in character, like not talking, miming, just like whatever. And I don't remember exactly like how we like got there, but eventually, or no, he wasn't an SUV. I think he was in like a big like Buick like sedan. And eventually we got to use like broke down the bit a little bit, and he was like talking to us and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, do you guys want to go? Like, you guys want to go get like weird ass donuts? Like voodoo style donuts?" And we're like, eventually, like a few of us were like, "Sure, sounds good." And so we got in his car, and by this time, the full like downpour storm is hitting, and this dude is driving like, I mean, it felt like 1,000 miles per hour down like 2-lane roads, like hopping over like railroad tracks, and I'm in the back seat, like, oh my god, like gripping the seat. It was insane. And then we pull up, and he buys us 2 dozen of these donuts.
What the fuck?
Yeah, buys it for all of us. And then he's like, "Hey, so are you guys sleeping in that Walmart?" It's like, "Yeah, we sleep in the van. That's what it is." He's like, "Oh, you guys could come sleep at my parents' house." And I don't know. I mean, it's like middle of the night. I want to say like midnight or so at this point. And we're like, I mean, we didn't want to sleep in the van in the middle of like this torrential downpour. So we're like, sure, sounds good. So we went back to this kid's house, and he had like squared away with his mom or whatever, and found out like he was 18. He was a senior in high school, and he just like got bored sometimes would go to Walmart just as found to fuck with people.
People are fucking fascinating, dude.
Yeah, I stayed up with a couple of the guys, like went directly to sleep, but like me and a few of the guys stayed up with this dude like until like, I don't know, 3, 4 or so at night, and just talking, learning about him, just like listening to random music. And just dude was super interesting, super cool kid, and only like a few years young, like a couple years younger than us and stuff. So like we had a lot to like discuss and talk about. And then we woke up in the morning. His mom made us this huge breakfast for all of us, and then gave us this big care package full of food and different stuff to take with us on the road for the rest of the tour and stuff like that. And it's like just the weirdest but like most wholesome kind of encounter that I ever had on tour. It was that's my favorite story. That's my favorite tour story.
No, but that dude, that's such an like perfect story to exemplify everything that is those miraculous moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like that entire thing was a fucking the strangest fever dream.
Yeah.
Like, oh, even what we got here?
It is so wholesome. Yeah.
That's so wholesome.
It ended up it started out very we're all gonna get murdered and chopped up, and like he's gonna wear a skin, to, oh, this is like the nicest,
the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
okay.
It's great. Yeah, it was
but that
amazing.
It was life-giving because as we alluded to on the negative shit of just like the harder times of like being hungry and like, barely even to get scraps at your daily per diem, like you would have these moments where, which also side note, before we get to the final question, just how insane were we in that just trusting so many random strangers, like so many shows going like, hey, if anybody has a floor we can sleep on, let us know.
I will say, if we go and getting into the spiritual stuff, like I always felt like my gift was discernment, and which is still like that's like, I just feel like I could always just read people and get the vibes off people, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, I never stayed in the house I didn't feel comfortable staying at. Some of the guys did, and it usually was fine, but I was like, I'll sleep in the van. I don't like what this is, so I'm good.
Vibes off.
Yeah, I'll sleep in the van.
But sometimes, even though, again, I'm gonna be just keeping it a book.
Yeah,
I am. Even though I am a giant man, a clown of any size, IRL, especially if they're trying to specifically fuck with me, I will lose my goddamn mind.
Yeah.
Like, so you just describing just how that even got you pulled in of this. First and foremost, logically speaking, as I'm just interpreting this story, an 18-year-old is, I'm bored. And this, you said it was Oklahoma City, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
The most Midwest.
I don't claim them. They're plains. I have.
They're plains.
We're in my geographic neighborhoods. That's
okay.
Yeah, don't get me started. We're not talking geography. Right? Not what this is about. That's my other podcast.
No. Hey, we'll do that. We'll start a offshoot pod. But so you're in the I should say in the middle of fucking nowhere, really.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like it.
And just a senior in high school is like, you know what? I'm just gonna dress up in clown shit and terrorize Walmart. Like, what a time to be alive! And then for it to turn into that tour miracle moment of like, oh, we have so much food now. Yeah, and a warm place in a shower.
Yeah, it was great, which was really funny because talk about the warm place part. I have another rabbit hole after this, but like
beautiful.
We slept in the basement because that's where his room was, and I think it was David. Like a couple of us slept on the ground. You found places to sleep, and he slept against the wall somewhere. That part of the basement flooded because of how bad it rained that night. So David actually ended up getting soaked, even though we slept inside.
Oh,
yeah, he did not have as much fun as the rest of us, but understandably so. But no, I mean, I think I guess a little bit of like inside baseball and like maybe why I felt so comfortable with going to that kid's house and staying at the kid's house was somebody outside your window?
No, it's outside. No, I have the reflection of my lamp and my ominous population of 1,200 people living.
Amazing.
Ooh,
no, but
store's closed.
No, it's like I did. I was a theater kid in high school, and also like I was definitely like a kid that felt like I was like bored of like being, I just was done with high school and I was over it and I was ready to do something else. So I definitely felt like that kid was like, yeah, I'm like over high school and I'm like past this kind of period in my life, and I'm just like, I need to find something that's exciting and fills my time. For me, it was like the doing the local shows and like all that shit, and then for him it was fucking with random strangers in supermarkets and stuff. But it was something like I could really like understand and like realize he wasn't just some freak. He was just like a bored kid.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, like I alluded to in the beginning of this podcast, you have the gift of not only being cognizant, but also, as you now said, discernment. I would never have that read.
Sure, understandable.
But so all that being said, like, again, that's a prime example of a beacon of the best times in this time in history of just the randomness, the insanity, and it turning into a genuinely kind of wholesome, like, oh no, these people actually are not only nice people, but they are fucking, like literally letting strangers into their home. Like I couldn't imagine bringing in a band in my place right now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh, I got kids. So like, what are we doing? Like, but man, that's again, those were the times, guys. It was MySpace. All right. And there was just a lot of trust. But the kind of, now speaking of being old and having kids now.
Yeah.
3, the final question, which is whether it can be one word, it can be a whole, rabbit hole story again. Like,
sure.
This is where I put on my therapy voice right now. We're gonna, center ourselves, have some space here, and when you, I should say, kind of sit back and kind of reflect on these ebbs and flows, because again, your story started so young, right? Like we were middle school, high school kids doing this stuff. And so when you reflect on how things started, how you got in, and where you're at today, what do you feel? Like upon reflection, what do you feel?
Yeah. It's tough. I haven't really processed what all of that was, because it was just kind of like a part of my life rather than like I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I do feel like I kind of what I alluded to earlier, like I feel accomplished and I feel like I did what I set out to do to a degree.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like, at the same time, there's definitely some like regrets or like missed opportunities, or like maybe I called it too soon and I could have just like kept the game rolling, or, whatnot.
Yeah.
But no, I look back on that like as time in my life where it really shaped me into the person that I am, and kind of like gave me the courage and strength to like know that I can, I can do things outside of like other people, and like I can like be successful, not only like professionally or whatever. That's like not really the point of that. It's more of just like carrying myself and living in this world and like interacting healthily with other people and all types of people, all walks of life and things, because you really do interact with a lot of different people
exactly
out there. So yeah, I mean, I looked like, I think I've said it enough, like I look back on it fondly, like it's one of my favorite periods of life. Like we also already said, there's not a chance I would do that right now. I might go on a weekend run, but we're getting hotels, and I ain't struggling for this one,
dude. I love that you're saying this, because it's fucking canon. Like at our age now, like, so a couple years ago, I was in a death metal band called Hanging Fortress, and that was like the most touring I've done, and most touring I've done since like those days. Weekend warrior shit. Like it was always like at most 3 or 4 days, in a row here. Yeah, like, and they were like young, like a couple of them were like younger guys, and they were like in their like mid to late 20s at the time. And they're like, we have this van, we're gonna sleep in the van, dude. What are we talking about? And it's like, no. Hold on. Oh, we made money at this show. We made how much? $500, $600? Or hear me out. We get a hotel room.
Yeah, and then we sleep comfortably.
Yeah, and not be fucking idiots about it, please.
Yeah.
It. I'm sorry. I'm the like. Hold on a second here. Chat. Let's look at here. Because this.
Oh, they don't even know. They don't even know that I'm bald either. So it really checks out.
Oh man, you're like, damn, I got clocked. Sorry. Hey, we said at the top of this fucking program, ADHD, it's gonna hit, and that is the brutality that is StreamYard of just having the chat right here, which I love. A lot of these folks who are hanging out right now, I'm guessing came from my buddies Dalton and Robbie's podcast, The Arena of Ideas.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, they are from that group, and so I'm guessing that the Patreon episode is done. So you guys are now hanging out here. I appreciate you guys. Also, this. My back is not up for van sleeping anymore,
buddy. I had a stiff, like fucked up neck for 3 weeks because I was eating pizza over the sink like a rat. That's just what I was just whatever. And then my neck was like, yeah, fuck you, dude. Eat shit. I hope you're upset. I hope you can't pick up your little son, and I hope this is the last time.
Yeah, the one last gleeful skip that you're going to have with your child is going to put you in paralysis. Yeah, actually,
yeah.
Also, side note, speaking of ADHD, are you guys hearing the sirens that are going on outside right now?
I mean, I'm not.
Thank God, because which is kind of crazy because the chat was alluding I should be looking out my window, and now sirens are going off. So sounds like they're my anxiety is saying, since we were talking about clowns, there's a murderous clown outside my town right now. So
their idea in the arena was to swat you.
Oh no. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not sure how on the pulse you are on the TikToks or anything like that. I'm sure you are because you're doing all the marketing work. Who's that guy? He's heavily autistic. He goes, oh fuck.
Oh no, I don't know.
You know that guy?
No.
So there's this. I don't want to say influencer. There's this poor autistic man who has been severely compromised on TikTok, and I think he's on all the platforms now. But we have this bit at work where we do that guy, and we're just like, oh fuck, you swatted me. just imagine him getting into scenarios of just getting the most royally fucked over.
And then just that reaction.
Yeah. Oh fuck. So just picturing being swatted by another podcast right now. Just like, no.
It could be happening. It could be happening.
Honestly, I deserve it. Anyway. But reeling this back in here, because this isn't one of my casual streams. This is
sure.
We have ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest right now. Okay. We gotta keep it tight. But going back to that hindsight, that's what I'm really kind of, I think, aspiring to, which is having the hindsight of more like a breath out. You know, like that was it. You know, that was cool. Because in my own personal journey with this, I hate that I'm making this about me right now, but what that helps me, what your story is helping me with, is kind of re-gearing those, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? When I kind of reflect back on these things, it's a friendly reminder of like, no, dude, you actually did cool shit. Like, no, that was actually fun. No, that was genuinely, and that's, I like you sort of I think you literally said this earlier of just like when you had that moment at that party where you're like, this is it.
Great.
Dude, yeah. We're doing it. What this is right now, we're doing it. And that really, I don't know. That puts it into perspective of like even my own memories of like the one tour we did with Crimson Armada, like, and just even though the time in my own band at that time was not very cash money, it's a good reminder of, but we were still doing the most insane shit.
Yeah. Like I think it's so easy to like get caught up into like, we didn't reach like the pinnacle. We didn't reach like we're selling out huge venues and making selling X amount of records or whatever, making that kind of real money, especially long term from our art. But we still like did the damn thing to whatever degree, and we experienced life in that way, and that's really fucking cool. And we tried, we did it. We went out there and like we didn't like pretend and act like we were doing it and shit. Like it was actually, real tours, real things, real record deals, real, what it was. And like we were in it. And, whether it ever got to the level or degree that you maybe wished it would have or wouldn't have, you at the end of the day don't have a ton of control over that stuff.
Yeah.
But what you do have control over is kind of how you reflect on that stuff and kind of put it into perspective of like the what you set out to be doing. Like you were touring the country around playing the music that you wrote and created and kind of doing something that you love,
which as a concept is fucking insane.
Yeah, not a lot of people genuinely get to do that and have people know who you are. Like, yeah, I could play a show in Bozeman, Montana, going back to Montana right now, but like I could play a show. You could get on a show there, but like, does anybody know who you are or like care like that? Whatever. Like it's a little bit different when people come out to like see your shows. And at the end of the day, like we like music, we love playing it. I mean, that's why I'm still writing and perform. It's not to like make money anymore. Obviously, I'm not trying to tour, but it's more.
Which
like,
side note, are you in a band right now?
I am writing for a new band right now, but nothing currently active, like for real. But it's weird to start a band in your mid 30s.
Because I think something that I don't think we covered too much in all the lore sharing here was post Beartooth, and since you had your corporate job and then you have now this marketing gig, you have had other bands.
Yeah,
you were a front man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had two. So yeah, I had 3 bands. Yeah, I guess 3 bands. There was like one that became yeah, exactly. It is what matters most. But yeah, no, I had like one band that kind of morphed into the other band, and then a third band.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first band was good enough, and they get morphed into a band called Holy Kiss, and then after that is it's weird because our social was not the name of the band. It's actually called Minuet, but our social was If It Moves You. But
oh man, okay, so
yeah, which is funny. That was my other guitarist's idea. He's like, he wanted to do that. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, whatever. And no,
well, yeah. I'll go ahead and edit the intro.
No, it's all good. No, I mean, it's it's still a lot of fun. It's fun to play shows, especially like the hardcore scene in Columbus is like really vibrant and fun and energetic, so it's fun to kind of just still. It's hard. I mean, it's still hard for me to go to concerts and shows because like all I want to do is be the one performing it rather than like watching perform. Like it's still great. It's still fun. It's still like engaging, but at the end of the day, I would rather be up there than watching.
Yeah, and I'm actually really glad you said that because that's been me for the quite past couple. would say the past decade, where like
Sure.
I want to like be, if I just want to be just completely transparent, I want to be a lot more supportive of the local scene and, you know, like go out to shows and, you know, support the homies when I
Mhm.
can. But like, one, being old and having big boy jobs and having to have like a, you know, I am already like an hour and a half past my normal bedtime. So,
Sure.
so like, that in itself is one thing, but there is that second component of it. Like the only shows I go to anymore are the few that I play.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's not a personal thing against anybody. It's just more of like a, I think there's that still that little part of you that's like, okay, maybe I still have some healing on this.
No, yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. I mean, I'm not devoid of you know, my hangups on my past, as even though I like look back at it fondly, there's definitely still like stuff that like, yeah, sure, I'm not have maybe haven't like fully processed through, or, you know,
Right.
really got
That's a tomorrow problem.
future. That's for future me.
First and foremost, do you have anything that you currently want to plug as far as things you got going on, your agency, anything you want to shout out?
No, I mean, I'm just chilling, you know, just doing. I don't. The band isn't a real thing yet. Whether it does become one or not, that'd be the only thing I'd really want to, you know, talk about. But no, I mean, I'm good. I got nothing.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
At the little Nick
Mm-hmm. On the socials.
on the socials. I will go ahead and plug first and foremost. If I still do not have enough followers to monetize this channel, or be able to even get things like super chats. But I am still trying to do creative stuff. Also, I'm a dad and trying to navigate this hellscape that we currently live in. So, if you would like to help donate to the cause, Cashapp.
I wonder if it's what the video actually. If I'm over here, either way, I'm helping. I'm pointing.
Hey, hey, effort. That's what we're doing here. There you go.
I could use that
But-
hand. I'm going to.
And also, $sign Holy Coast, which is my band.
There we go.
Yeah. We also put out an album in September called Such Strange Ghosts. And I will always keep chugging out musics because it just keeps falling out. So at Holy Coast Band on all the socials. That album's out everywhere. Please tell a friend, because boy howdy, I was looking at our Spotify
Wrapped.
Spotify. No, that was a whole other thing.
Yeah, geez.
That's crushing. But also, I was just kind of looking at the Spotify for Artists app.
Mm-hmm.
Chat. Let's be real here. The numbers aren't great.
Just give it a spin. Let's give it a spin.
Hey, just give a couple spins.
Yeah.
If you do your boy a solid, Holy Coast. Thanks, dude, for doing all this.
Yeah,
and until next week, watch out for announcements, and we'll see you then.
See ya.